Amara Johnson stared at her empty refrigerator, the harsh fluorescent light casting shadows across her tired face. $3.27 sat crumpled in her wallet, barely enough for a single meal, and payday was still 4 days away. Her mother's medical bills had drained every penny she'd saved, and her younger brother's college textbooks had taken the rest. At 26, she felt like she was drowning in responsibilities that weren't supposed to be hers. The sound of her phone buzzing made her jump. A known number. Probably another debt collector. She almost didn't answer, but something made her swipe to accept the call. Miss Johnson? This is Patricia from Sterling Corp's executive office. Congratulations, you've won our annual company raffle. Amara blinked. She'd forgotten she'd even entered. $5 for a raffle ticket had seemed like throwing money away, but her coworker Brielle had insisted everyone participate. I'm sorry, what did I win exactly? A private dinner with our CEO Logan Pierce at Le Bernardin. Tomorrow evening at 7. The phone nearly slipped from Amara's hands. Logan Pierce. The billionaire who owned half of downtown Manhattan. The man whose face graced magazine covers and business journals. The same man whose company she cleaned toilets for every night after her day job at the accounting firm. There must be some mistake. I work night shift cleaning. I'm nobody special. No mistake, Miss Johnson. A car will pick you up at 6:30. Please dress appropriately for fine dining. After hanging up, Amara sank onto her threadbare couch. Dress appropriately? Her nicest outfit was a black dress she'd bought from a thrift store 3 years ago for her high school friend's wedding. She owned one pair of heels and they had a scuff on the toe. But as she sat there, staring at her empty fridge, a thought crept into her mind. Rich men like to show off. Maybe if she played her cards right, maybe if she was charming enough, he might offer her something. A better job. A small loan. Anything to help her stop choosing between her mother's medicine and groceries. She hated herself for thinking it, but desperation made people consider things they never would otherwise. Her pride had kept her family fed for years, but pride couldn't pay her mother's cancer treatments or her brother's tuition. How far would you go to save your family? What would you sacrifice to give the people you love a fighting chance? Subscribe and let me know in the comments what you think Amara should do when she meets the billionaire CEO tomorrow night. The next evening, Amara stood in front of her bathroom mirror, applying the one tube of mascara she owned. Her reflection stared back, a beautiful African-American woman with natural hair pulled back in a simple but elegant bun, wearing her only good dress. She'd polished her old heels until they gleamed, and borrowed lip gloss from her neighbor. A black sedan arrived precisely at 6:30. The driver, a professional-looking older man, held the door open without judgment about her modest appearance. As they drove through Manhattan, Amara's palms grew sweaty. Le Bernardin was the kind of restaurant she'd only seen in movies. She'd spent the day researching Logan Pierce. 34 years old, inherited his father's real estate empire at 25 and tripled its value. Never married, though frequently photographed with models and socialites. Known for his sharp business sense and reportedly cold personality in negotiations. The restaurant was everything she'd imagined and more. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths so crisp they looked like they'd cut glass, and servers who moved like ballet dancers. Amara felt completely out of place. Miss Johnson? A maitre d' approached with a warm smile. Mr. Pierce is waiting. They led her through the restaurant to a private dining room where Logan Pierce sat reviewing documents on his phone. When he looked up, Amara felt her breath catch. He was handsome in person with dark hair, intelligent blue eyes, and a strong jawline. But there was something in his expression that made her stomach drop. Disappointment. He stood politely, extending his hand. Miss Johnson. Please sit. His grip was firm, businesslike. As she settled into the chair across from him, she caught him glancing at her outfit, her shoes, her simple jewelry. She could practically see the wheels turning in his head. Not what he expected. Not what he wanted. So, he said, setting his phone aside, tell me about yourself. The question hung in the air like a challenge. Amara realized this wasn't going to be the fairy tale dinner she'd half hoped for. This was an interview and she was already failing. I work for your company, she began quietly. Night cleaning crew. Something flickered across his face. Surprise maybe? You work for Sterling Corp? Building maintenance. I clean the executive floors from midnight to 6 a.m. Logan leaned back in his chair, studying her with new interest. And your day job? Bookkeeping at Morrison & Associates. Small accounting firm. She twisted her hands in her lap. I also take care of my mother and help my brother with college. The server appeared with menus that had no prices listed. Amara's heart sank further. She had no idea what anything cost, no frame of reference for what was appropriate to order. She was completely out of her depth. "The lobster here is excellent," Logan said, perhaps sensing her confusion. "And the wine list is extensive." "I don't drink much," Amara admitted. "Water is fine." For the next hour they made polite conversation. Logan asked about her work, her family, her goals. With each answer, Amara watched his expression soften slightly. She found herself telling him about her mother's illness, her brother's dreams of becoming an engineer, her own abandoned plans for graduate school. "You gave up your education for your family," he observed. "Family comes first," she said simply. "Even when it cost you everything you wanted?" Amara met his eyes. "Especially then." Something in Logan's demeanor shifted. The cool businessman facade cracked just slightly, revealing something warmer underneath. "That's admirable." "It's just what you do," Amara replied. "When people depend on you, you don't let them down." As the evening progressed, Logan found himself genuinely interested in this woman who was nothing like the gold diggers and social climbers he usually encountered. She didn't ask for anything, didn't hint about expensive tastes or lavish lifestyle desires. Instead, she spoke passionately about her family, her work ethic, her dreams deferred but not abandoned. "This might sound presumptuous," Logan said as they finished dessert, "but I'd like to help you." Amara's heart jumped. "Help me how?" "Your mother's medical bills. Your brother's education. Your own career goals." He pulled out his phone. "I can make a few calls, arrange some things." Every instinct told Amara to politely decline, to maintain her pride and independence. But then she thought of her mother, weak from chemotherapy, trying to hide how much pain she was in. She thought of her brother, brilliant and hardworking, who might have to drop out of school because they couldn't afford next semester's tuition. "Why would you do that?" she whispered. Logan was quiet for a moment. "Because in 3 hours, you've shown me more genuine character than I've encountered in 3 years of business meetings and charity galas. Because you work 2 jobs to take care of people you love, and you do it without complaining or expecting recognition." Tears welled up in Amara's eyes. I would be so grateful. My family needs help, and I've been trying so hard to handle everything alone." "You don't have to handle it alone anymore," Logan said gently. "Let me make some calls tomorrow. We'll figure out the details." As they left the restaurant, Logan's driver held the door open for Amara again. This time, Logan slid in beside her instead of taking a separate car. "Thank you," she said quietly as they drove through the city. "You have no idea what this means to my family." "Actually, I think I do," Logan replied. "I lost my father when I was young. I remember what it felt like to worry about things kids shouldn't have to worry about." Amara looked at him with new eyes. Beneath the successful businessman was someone who understood struggle, who remembered what it felt like to be afraid and uncertain about the future. When they reached her modest apartment building, Logan walked her to the door. "I'll call you tomorrow with details," he promised. "Logan," Amara said, using his first name for the first time. "Thank you. Really. I don't know how to repay this kind of kindness." "You don't need to repay anything," he said. "Just let me help." As she watched his car disappear into the night, Amara felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. Not just for the financial relief, but for the unexpected connection she'd felt with someone who seemed to genuinely see and value who she was. She had no idea that Logan Pierce, sitting in the back of his sedan, was feeling the exact same thing. Logan Pierce couldn't concentrate on the quarterly reports spread across his mahogany desk. 3 days had passed since his dinner with Amara Johnson, and her face kept interrupting his thoughts. Not because she was beautiful, though she certainly was, but because of something deeper. Her sincerity had caught him completely off guard. He'd expected the typical company raffle winner. Someone angling for a promotion, a loan, or at minimum, a chance to network their way up the social ladder. Instead, he'd met a woman who worked 2 jobs to support her family and had never once asked for anything beyond accepting his offered help with quiet grace. His assistant, Patricia, knocked on his door. "Mr. Pierce? You asked me to research Miss Johnson's situation? Come in." Logan set aside his papers. "What did you find?" Patricia consulted her tablet. Amara Johnson, 26, lives in a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens that she shares with her 19-year-old brother Jeremy while their mother receives treatment in a nearby facility. She's worked for our cleaning service for 18 months, never missed a shift, never had a complaint. And her mother's condition? Stage 3 breast cancer. Prognosis is good with continued treatment, but the medical bills are substantial. Insurance covers some, but... Patricia showed him the numbers. Logan winced. The amount was significant for someone earning Amara's wages, but barely a rounding error in his quarterly budget. And the brother's education? Jeremy Johnson, sophomore at Brooklyn College, studying mechanical engineering. Dean's list both semesters but behind on tuition payments. He's likely to be dropped next month if they can't catch up. Logan made his decision. Set up accounts to handle the medical bills directly with the hospital. Full coverage, no questions asked. And arrange Jeremy's tuition payments through our scholarship foundation. Of course, sir. Should I have legal draw up any agreements? No agreements. This is a gift. Logan paused. Also, I want you to offer Miss Johnson a position in our corporate offices. Something in accounting or finance, given her background. Patricia raised an eyebrow but simply nodded. I'll arrange everything. 20 minutes later, Logan found himself doing something unprecedented. Calling Amara directly instead of having Patricia handle it. Hello. Her voice sounded tired. Amara, it's Logan Pierce. I hope I'm not calling at a bad time? Oh no, not at all. I'm just finishing up some bookkeeping work. How are you? The genuine warmth in her voice made him smile. I'm well. I wanted to update you on the arrangements we discussed. You work fast, she said with a small laugh. I honestly wasn't sure if you were serious. I'm always serious about my commitments. Your mother's medical bills have been handled. The hospital will bill our foundation directly from now on. Silence. Then a shaky breath. Logan, how can I ever? You don't need to say anything. Also, Jeremy's tuition is covered through graduation. This time the silence stretched longer. When Amara finally spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. You're giving my family our lives back. I'm giving you the chance to focus on your own future instead of just surviving, Logan corrected. Which brings me to my next offer. I'd like you to consider joining Sterling Corp's corporate team. We have an opening in our finance department that would suit your background. A real office job? Amara's voice rose with excitement, then tempered. But I don't have a college degree. Just some community college courses and work experience. Experience counts more than degrees in my book. Besides, the position comes with benefits that include educational assistance if you want to finish school. Logan, She paused, and he could hear her taking a steadying breath. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Excellent. Patricia will call you tomorrow with details. Plan to start Monday. After hanging up, Logan felt an unfamiliar lightness in his chest. He'd made business deals worth hundreds of millions that hadn't given him the satisfaction of hearing the joy in Amara's voice. 3 days later, Amara walked into Sterling Corp's main office building for her first day, but this time she wasn't carrying cleaning supplies. She wore a professional blazer she'd found at a discount store and carried a leather portfolio she'd borrowed from her old boss at the accounting firm. The corporate floors looked different in daylight, filled with purposeful energy instead of the quiet emptiness she knew from her night shifts. Patricia greeted her warmly and led her through orientation. Your supervisor will be Janet Mills in finance, Patricia explained as they walked through gleaming hallways. She's expecting you at 9. Amara's new office was small but had a window overlooking the city. After years of windowless rooms and basement offices, the natural light felt like luxury. Janet Mills turned out to be a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who got straight to business. I don't care how you got this job, she said bluntly, but Mr. Pierce doesn't make hiring decisions lightly. Show me you deserve to be here. Amara spent her first week proving herself. Her years of detailed bookkeeping work had given her sharp attention to accuracy, and her night shifts had taught her efficiency. She arrived early, stayed late, and asked thoughtful questions. On Friday afternoon, Logan appeared at her office door. How's your first week going? Amara looked up from her computer, surprised. Mr. Pierce, I wasn't expecting you. Logan, he corrected, stepping inside and closing the door. We're not in a restaurant anymore. She smiled. Logan, the week's been amazing. Janet says I'm picking things up quickly. I heard. She's not easy to impress. Logan sat in the chair across from her desk. How's your mother doing? So much better. The stress of worrying about bills was making her sicker than the treatment. She's actually talking about redecorating her room at the facility. And Jeremy? Back in classes and focused on his studies instead of working 3 part-time jobs. Amara's eyes brightened. He calls you his guardian angel. Logan felt that unfamiliar warmth again. I'm glad I could help. They talked for another 20 minutes about her work, her adjustment to corporate life, her family's progress. Logan found himself reluctant to leave. There was something about Amara's presence that felt peaceful, genuine. In his world of calculated conversations and strategic relationships, her straightforward honesty was refreshing. "Would you like to have dinner again?" he asked as he prepared to leave. "Not business. Just dinner." Amara's smile was radiant. "I'd love that. Tomorrow night? Somewhere more casual this time." "Perfect." As Logan walked back to his office, he realized he was looking forward to Saturday night more than he'd anticipated anything in months. And for the first time in years, it had nothing to do with business. He was starting to understand that Amara Johnson might be the best thing that had happened to him, disguised as a company raffle prize. The next evening, Logan chose a cozy Italian restaurant in Little Italy, far removed from the pretentious establishments he usually frequented for business dinners. When Amara arrived, she looked relaxed and happy in a simple sundress and cardigan. "This is more my speed," she admitted as they were seated at a small table by the window. "I was so nervous at Le Bernardin I barely tasted the food." "You hit it well," Logan said. "I was impressed by your composure." "I was terrified," Amara laughed. "I kept thinking I was going to use the wrong fork or say something stupid." "You were perfect exactly as you were." Something in his tone made Amara look at him more closely. There was an intensity in his eyes she hadn't noticed before, something warmer than business interest. "Logan," she said carefully, "why are you really helping my family? And please don't say it's just because you were impressed by my character. Nobody gives away that kind of money based on one dinner conversation." Logan was quiet for a long moment, twirling pasta on his fork. "Do you know what it's like to have everything you could possibly want except the one thing that matters?" "What thing?" "Someone who sees you as more than your bank account." He met her eyes. "I've dated models, socialites, businesswomen. Every relationship has been a transaction. What can I give them, what can they give me? Never just genuine connection." Amara felt her heart skip. "Logan. You didn't ask me for anything, Amara. Not once. Even when I offered to help, you were reluctant to accept. Do you have any idea how rare that is in my world? I asked you for help with my family. After I offered. And only because you love them more than your own pride." Logan reached across the table, covering her hand with his. "You're not like anyone I've ever met." The touch of his hand sent warmth shooting up Amara's arm. She looked down at their joined hands, his larger and softer from a life of boardroom meetings, hers smaller and marked by years of physical work. "You're not what I expected either," she admitted quietly. "What did you expect? Someone cold, arrogant. Someone who would look down on people like me. People like you? Working class. No college degree. No connections or important family name." Logan's grip on her hand tightened. "Amara, you're more impressive than most people with Harvard degrees and trust funds. You've taken care of your entire family while working 2 jobs. You've maintained your integrity and kindness despite having every reason to become bitter or selfish." Tears pricked at Amara's eyes. "Thank you for saying that. It's the truth." They lingered over dinner for 3 hours talking about everything. His lonely childhood in boarding schools, her close-knit family, his business successes and failures, her dreams of maybe opening her own bookkeeping firm someday. "You could do that," Logan said when she mentioned the business idea. "I could help you get started." "Logan, you've already done so much." "I want to help because I care about you," he interrupted. "Not as charity, not as some business investment. Because seeing you happy makes me happy." The simple honesty of the statement took Amara's breath away. In the soft candlelight of the restaurant, Logan looked younger, more vulnerable than the composed CEO she'd met a week ago. "I care about you too," she whispered. When he walked her to her door that night, Logan hesitated on her building's front steps. "Amara, I want to be clear about something. The help I've given your family isn't conditional on anything. If you never want to see me again after tonight, nothing changes for them." "Why would you say that?" "Because I don't want you to feel obligated to spend time with me out of gratitude." Amara stepped closer to him. "Logan Pierce, gratitude has nothing to do with why I want to see you again." "No. No." She reached up and touched his cheek gently. "I want to see you again because somewhere between that first awkward dinner and tonight, I started falling for the man behind the billion-dollar empire." Logan's eyes searched her face. "Are you sure?" Instead of answering with words, Amara rose on her toes and kissed him softly. It was a gentle kiss, tentative and sweet, but it conveyed everything she couldn't quite put into words yet. When they broke apart, Logan rested his forehead against hers. "I'm falling for you too," he whispered. "Harder and faster than I thought possible." As Amara watched his car disappear down the street, she touched her lips where his kiss still lingered. A week ago, she'd been a struggling woman working 2 jobs just to survive. Now she had a career, her family's future was secure, and she was falling in love with a man who seemed to see straight through to her soul. Life had a funny way of changing everything when you least expected it. Amara was reorganizing her desk on Wednesday morning when Patricia approached with an unexpected announcement. "Miss Johnson, Mr. Pierce would like you to attend the monthly board meeting this afternoon. Observer status only, but he thinks it would be good experience for you." Amara nearly dropped her coffee. "The board meeting? Are you sure?" "Quite sure. Conference room A at 2 o'clock. And don't worry about taking notes, just observe and learn." 3 hours later, Amara sat in the back corner of Sterling Corp's impressive boardroom, trying to look invisible while 12 of the city's most powerful business people discussed quarterly projections and market expansions. Logan commanded the room effortlessly, his presence both authoritative and approachable. During a break, an older woman approached her. "You must be Amara Johnson. I'm Helen Crawford, board member and CEO of Crawford Industries." "Yes, ma'am. Nice to meet you." Helen sat beside her. "Logan speaks very highly of your work. He says you have exceptional attention to detail and natural business instincts. He's been very kind to give me opportunities to learn." "Logan doesn't do anything out of kindness in business," Helen said with a knowing smile. "If he's investing in your development, it's because he sees real potential." When the meeting resumed, Logan announced several new initiatives, including a scholarship program for employees' family members and an expansion of the company's financial assistance benefits. "These programs represent our commitment to supporting the people who make Sterling Corp successful," Logan explained to the board. "Investing in our employees' well-being ultimately strengthens our entire organization." After the meeting, Logan caught up with Amara in the hallway. "What did you think?" "Intimidating but fascinating," she admitted. "I understood maybe 60% of what was discussed, but I took mental notes on everything I didn't know so I can research it later." "That's exactly the right approach." Logan checked his watch. "Do you have dinner plans?" "Actually, yes. It's Jeremy's birthday, so I'm taking him and my mom out to celebrate. Nothing fancy, just that family restaurant near the hospital." "That sounds perfect. Mind if I join you? I'd like to meet them properly." Amara hesitated. "Logan, you don't have to." "I want to," he interrupted. "Unless you'd prefer to keep your work life separate from family time?" "No, it's not that. They're going to be so grateful for what you've done, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by their thanks." Logan smiled. "I think I can handle a little gratitude." 2 hours later, Amara watched nervously as Logan's town car pulled up outside Mama Rosa's family restaurant. She'd arrived early with her mother and Jeremy, explaining that her friend from work would be joining them. Her mother, Rita Johnson, looked healthier than she had in months. The stress lines around her eyes had faded, and she'd even started wearing makeup again. Jeremy, tall and lanky at 19, was practically bouncing with excitement about his engineering classes. When Logan walked in, dressed casually in dark jeans and a button-down shirt, Amara felt her heart skip. He looked younger, more relaxed than his usual business persona. "Mom, Jeremy, this is Logan Pierce," Amara said as introductions were made. Rita's eyes widened with recognition, but it was Jeremy who spoke first. "Mr. Pierce, Sir, I don't know how to thank you for what you've done for our family." Logan shook Jeremy's hand firmly. "Call me Logan. And you don't need to thank me. Your sister worked hard for everything I was able to help with. She's always taken care of us," Rita added, her voice thick with emotion. "But what you did, you gave us our lives back. Mrs. Johnson, may I sit?" Logan gestured to the chair beside her. "Of course, honey. And call me Rita." Over dinner, Logan found himself completely charmed by Amara's family. Rita shared stories of raising 2 children while working as a nurse, her pride in both her children evident in every word. Jeremy talked enthusiastically about his engineering projects and his dreams of designing sustainable infrastructure. "You know what I want to build more than anything?" Jeremy said, eyes lighting up. "Affordable housing that's actually energy efficient. Too many low-income families pay enormous utility bills because their apartments aren't properly insulated or use old, inefficient systems." "That's a noble goal," Logan said, genuinely impressed. "Have you considered specialized coursework in environmental engineering?" "I looked into it, but those programs are competitive and expensive." Logan glanced at Amara, who was watching the conversation with obvious affection for her little brother. "I know some people in that field. Let me make some calls, see what opportunities might be available." Jeremy's jaw dropped. "You would do that?" "Of course. Bright minds with good intentions should have every opportunity to succeed. After dinner, Logan insisted on paying despite Rita's protests. As they prepared to leave, Rita pulled Amara aside. "Baby, that man looks at you like you hung the moon," she whispered. "And more importantly, he treated Jeremy like his thoughts and dreams mattered. That tells me everything I need to know about his character." Outside the restaurant, Logan shook hands with both Rita and Jeremy again. "Mrs. Johnson. Rita, it was a pleasure meeting you. Jeremy, I'll have some information for you by Friday about those environmental engineering programs." "Thank you so much," Jeremy said, still somewhat starstruck. "And Logan? Take good care of my sister. She deserves someone who sees how amazing she is." After Rita and Jeremy left in a taxi, Logan and Amara walked slowly down the sidewalk. "They're wonderful," Logan said. "I can see where you get your strength and warmth. They like you too. Jeremy especially. You made him feel like his ideas were important. They are important. He's got vision and passion that's rare." Logan stopped walking and turned to face her. "Amara, I want to make another offer." "Logan. Hear me out. I'm starting a new division focused on sustainable development and affordable housing initiatives. I think Jeremy could be valuable as a consultant once he finishes school, and I'd like to offer you the chance to manage the financial side of the operation." Amara stared at him. "You want me to manage a whole division? You understand budgets, you have integrity, and you care about making a real difference in people's lives. Plus, you'd be working on something that clearly matters to your family. But I don't have experience managing anything that big. I'll provide training, support staff, whatever you need. This isn't charity, Amara. This is me recognizing talent and giving it room to grow." Amara felt tears welling up. "You're giving me a career I never even dreamed was possible. You're giving me something I never thought I'd find," Logan replied quietly. "Someone who makes me want to be better than I am. You're already pretty amazing." Logan stepped closer, taking her hands in his. "I'm falling in love with you, Amara. Not just attracted to you, not just fascinated by you. I'm falling completely, hopelessly in love with you." Amara's breath caught. "Logan. I know it's fast, I know it seems crazy given how we met, but I've never felt anything like this before." "Neither have I," she whispered. "I love you too." This time when he kissed her, it was deeper, more urgent than their first kiss. It was the kiss of two people who'd found something rare and precious and were afraid to let it go. When they broke apart, Logan rested his chin on top of her head. "Move in with me," he said suddenly. "What?" "I know it's soon, but I hate saying goodbye to you every night. I want to wake up next to you, make you coffee in the morning, talk about our days over dinner. Logan, I share a one-bedroom apartment with my brother. So we'll find Jeremy his own place. A nice one close to campus. My treat." Amara pulled back to look at him. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. I want to build a life with you, Amara. Starting now. Can love really move this fast? Is Logan moving too quickly, or is this what real love feels like when it hits? Let me know in the comments what you think Amara should do, and don't forget to subscribe to see how this whirlwind romance unfolds." "Yes," Amara said without hesitation. "Yes, I'll move in with you." Logan's smile was brilliant. "Really? Really? You're right, it's crazy and fast, but it also feels completely right." "I love you so much," Logan murmured against her hair. "I love you too." As they walked back to her apartment to start planning this new chapter of their lives together, Amara marveled at how completely her world had transformed. 3 weeks ago, she'd been struggling to keep her family afloat. Now she was in love with a man who not only wanted to take care of her but also wanted to build dreams together. She'd won a dinner and a company raffle and ended up winning so much more. Moving day arrived on a crisp Saturday morning in October. Amara stood in the middle of her tiny apartment, surrounded by boxes that contained her entire life, feeling both excited and overwhelmed. Logan appeared in the doorway carrying coffee and pastries from her favorite bakery. "Fuel for the move," he announced, setting everything on her kitchen counter. "You didn't have to do all this," Amara said, though she accepted the coffee gratefully. "I wanted to. Besides, Jeremy's going to need energy for carrying boxes." As if summoned, Jeremy emerged from the bathroom, hair still damp from his shower. "Morning, Logan. Ready to see just how little stuff we actually own?" Logan had surprised them both by insisting on helping with the physical move rather than just hiring professionals. "I want to be part of this," he'd said when Amara protested. "This is important." The three of them made an efficient team. Jeremy handled the heavy boxes with the energy of youth, Logan proved surprisingly strong for someone who spent his days in boardrooms, and Amara organized everything with the precision that made her so valuable at work. "Last box," Jeremy announced, hefting Amara's books onto his shoulder. "I can't believe we're really doing this," Amara murmured, looking around the empty apartment that had been home for 3 years. Logan wrapped his arms around her from behind. "Having second thoughts?" "No, just processing. This morning I lived in Queens with my little brother. Tonight I'll be living in a penthouse with my billionaire boyfriend." "Your billionaire boyfriend who's completely crazy about you," Logan corrected, pressing a kiss to her temple. "You two are disgustingly sweet," Jeremy said with a grin. "But I'm happy for you, sis." Logan's penthouse apartment was everything Amara had expected and more. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park, modern furniture that probably cost more than she used to make in a year, and enough space for a small family. But Logan had made changes since deciding she'd move in. Fresh flowers filled several vases, family photos sat on side tables, and he'd cleared out half of his massive walk-in closet for her clothes. "You redecorated," Amara observed, noticing warmer touches throughout the space. "I wanted it to feel like our home, not just mine," Logan said, watching her reaction carefully. "Do you like it?" "I love it." She touched one of the framed photos, a candid shot of her and Jeremy laughing at his birthday dinner. "When did you get this?" "I had it printed from the photo Jeremy took that night." "I hope that's okay." Instead of answering, Amara stood on her toes and kissed him thoroughly. "It's perfect." Later that evening, after Jeremy had left for his new apartment near campus, a comfortable 2-bedroom that Logan had insisted on furnishing completely, Amara and Logan sat on his couch sharing takeout Chinese food and watching the sunset over the city. "This feels surreal," Amara admitted, curled up against Logan's side. "A month ago, I was choosing between groceries and my mother's prescription refills. Now I'm living in a penthouse, managing my own department at work, and my entire family's future is secure." "How does that make you feel?" Logan asked, his fingers combing through her hair. "Grateful. Overwhelmed. Sometimes guilty." "Guilty?" Amara sat up to look at him. "Logan, you've given me everything I never dared to dream of. Sometimes I worry that I don't bring enough to this relationship." Logan set down his food and took her hands. "Amara, you've given me something I thought didn't exist anymore. You make me laugh, you challenge me to be better, you see me as Logan instead of just a bank account with legs. You've shown me what unconditional love looks like through how you care for your family. But materially..." "Stop." Logan's voice was firm but gentle. "Money is just a tool, Amara. What matters is what we build together, how we treat each other, the life we create. You bring love, integrity, strength, and joy to my life. That's worth more than any financial contribution." Tears gathered in Amara's eyes. "I love you so much it scares me sometimes." "Good," Logan said with a smile. "I want to scare you a little. Means you know this is real." The next few weeks fell into a comfortable rhythm. Amara threw herself into learning her new role managing the Sustainable Development Division. Logan had kept his word about providing support, assigning her a small but experienced team and arranging for her to attend evening business courses at a nearby college. "How are the classes going?" Logan asked one Thursday evening as they prepared dinner together. "Challenging but fascinating. Professor Martinez says I have good instincts for financial analysis." Amara chopped vegetables while Logan handled the pasta. "I never thought I'd be the type of person who got excited about cash flow projections. You're discovering talents you never had a chance to develop before." "Thanks to you." Logan paused in his stirring. "Amara, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you ever miss your old life?" The question caught her off guard. "Miss it?" "The simplicity of it. Not having to think about board meetings and quarterly reports. Just working, taking care of your family, living day to day." Amara considered the question seriously. "I miss not worrying about whether I'm good enough for this new life. I miss the certainty of my routines. But Logan, I don't miss the constant stress about money. I don't miss watching my mother pretend she wasn't in pain because she was worried about the cost of stronger medication. I don't miss Jeremy working 3 jobs instead of focusing on his studies. But sometimes I feel like I'm playing a role I haven't quite grown into yet. Like any moment, someone's going to realize I don't actually belong in conference rooms and corner offices." Logan turned off the stove and faced her completely. "Can I tell you a secret?" "Always." "I felt that way for the first 5 years after inheriting the company. Every board meeting, every major decision, I was terrified someone would figure out I had no idea what I was doing." "Really? Really?" "Imposter syndrome is normal when your life changes quickly. But Amara, I've watched you work. You belong in that conference room more than half the people who were born to it. That weekend, Logan surprised Amara with tickets to a charity gala for children's cancer research. I know you don't love big social events, he said as they got ready, but this cause is important and I want you there with me. Amara smoothed her hands over the emerald green gown Logan had bought her. It was the most expensive piece of clothing she'd ever worn, and she felt like she was playing dress up. I look okay? She asked nervously. Logan paused in adjusting his bow tie and turned to look at her. His expression made her breath catch. Amara, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Logan. I mean it. Not just tonight, not just in that dress. Every morning when you're rushing around getting ready for work, every evening when you're tired from classes, every moment in between. You're beautiful inside and out. The gala was held in a historic hotel ballroom, filled with New York's social elite. Amara recognized faces from magazine covers and society pages, people who moved in circles she'd only read about. Nervous? Logan asked as they walked in. Terrified, she admitted. Just remember, half these people inherited their money and have never worked a day in their lives. You've earned everything you have. Logan was immediately pulled into conversations with various business associates and donors. Amara stayed close to his side, participating when she could and observing when she couldn't. She was surprised by how many people seemed genuinely interested in her work with the Sustainable Development Division. Miss Johnson, a familiar voice said behind her. She turned to find Helen Crawford, the board member from her first meeting. Mrs. Crawford, how nice to see you again. Please call me Helen. I hear wonderful things about the progress you're making with the new division. They talked for several minutes about affordable housing initiatives and environmental impact assessments. Amara found herself relaxing as she realized she actually did know what she was talking about. You know, Helen said as their conversation wound down, Logan is a different man since he met you. Different how? Happier. More grounded. He used to be brilliant but cold in business dealings. Now he asks about the human impact of our decisions, not just the financial ones. That's your influence. Later, during the auction portion of the evening, Logan surprised everyone by bidding aggressively on a week-long vacation package to a sustainable eco-resort in Costa Rica. $15,000, he announced, raising his paddle. Logan, Amara whispered, that's too much. $20,000, came a counter bid from across the room. $25,000, Logan responded without hesitation. He won the auction, and as they walked back to their table, Amara shook her head in amazement. You just spent $25,000 on a vacation. I spent $25,000 on a donation to children's cancer research, Logan corrected. The vacation is just a bonus. Besides, when's the last time you took a real break? I can't remember. Exactly. You deserve rest, relaxation, and time to just be happy. On the drive home, Amara was quiet, processing the evening. Penny for your thoughts? Logan asked. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, she admitted. This life, this love, this happiness. It all feels too good to be true. Logan reached over and took her hand. What if it's not too good to be true? What if it's just what we both deserve? Do you really believe that? I believe we found each other for a reason. I believe you make me a better man, and I hope I make you happier than you were before. You do. Happier than I ever imagined possible. Then trust it. Trust us. That night, as they lay in bed with city lights twinkling beyond the windows, Logan held Amara close and whispered promises about their future together. Trips they'd take, goals they'd achieve, the family they might someday build. For the first time since this whirlwind began, Amara allowed herself to believe it was all real. That love could really be this powerful, this transformative, this lasting. She was finally ready to stop waiting for everything to fall apart and start building something beautiful instead. 3 months into their relationship, Amara received a call that changed everything. She was reviewing budget projections in her office when her phone rang with her mother's number. Mom? You're supposed to be in treatment right now. Baby, I'm at the hospital, but not for treatment. Rita's voice was strained. Jeremy's been in an accident. Amara's blood turned to ice. What kind of accident? Car crash on his way to campus this morning. He's alive, but he's hurt bad. They're taking him into surgery. I'm on my way. Amara was already grabbing her coat. Mom, which hospital? Brooklyn General. Emergency room. Amara burst out of her office, nearly colliding with Logan, who was walking down the hallway. Amara, what's wrong? Jeremy's been in an accident. I have to get to Brooklyn General right now. Logan didn't hesitate. My driver's downstairs. Come on. During the tense car ride, Amara called the hospital for updates while Logan held her hand and made quiet phone calls of his own. By the time they arrived, he'd arranged for the hospital's best trauma surgeon to oversee Jeremy's care. "Logan, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. He's your family, which makes him my family." They found Rita in the surgical waiting room, looking small and frightened in a plastic chair. Amara rushed to her mother's side while Logan approached the nurse's station. "Mrs. Johnson," he said gently, "I'm Logan Pierce. How are you holding up?" "I'm scared," Rita admitted. "They said internal bleeding, possible spinal injuries. I can't lose him, Logan. He's got his whole life ahead of him." Logan sat beside Rita and took her hand. "He's young and strong and he's getting the best possible care. We're going to get through this." For the next 6 hours, Logan never left their side. He brought coffee and sandwiches that went mostly untouched, made calls to ensure Jeremy had the finest specialists available, and provided steady, calm support while they waited for news. Dr. Martinez, the trauma surgeon, finally emerged from surgery looking tired but relieved. "The surgery went well. We repaired the internal bleeding, and while there was some spinal trauma, we don't believe there will be permanent paralysis. He'll need extensive physical therapy, but he should make a full recovery." Amara collapsed into Logan's arms, sobbing with relief. Rita cried quietly, holding Logan's hand like a lifeline. "Can we see him?" Amara asked. "He's in recovery now. Give us another hour to get him settled in ICU, then you can visit briefly." When they were finally allowed to see Jeremy, he looked pale and fragile among all the medical equipment, but his eyes were alert. "Hey sis," he said weakly. "Sorry to scare you." "Don't you ever do that again," Amara said, squeezing his hand carefully. "How do you feel?" "Like I got hit by a truck." Which, according to the doctor, is pretty much what happened. Logan stepped forward. "Jeremy, I want you to focus on getting better. Don't worry about school, medical bills, physical therapy, anything. Just concentrate on healing." "Logan, man, I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm telling you. Family takes care of family." Over the next 2 weeks, Logan proved those words in countless ways. He hired private nurses to supplement Jeremy's hospital care, arranged for the best physical therapists in the city, and when Jeremy was ready to be discharged, he had the penthouse guest room converted into a temporary recovery suite complete with medical equipment. "This is too much," Amara protested as she watched Logan direct the setup of a hospital bed and physical therapy equipment. "It's not too much. It's what Jeremy needs to recover properly. But your space, your privacy." Logan stopped what he was doing and took her hands. "Amara, do you trust me?" "Of course." "Then trust that I want to do this. Jeremy isn't just your brother anymore. He matters to me because he matters to you." Jeremy's recovery was slow but steady. Logan arranged for him to continue his classes remotely and hired tutors to help him keep up with his engineering coursework. More importantly, he treated Jeremy like the younger brother he'd never had, not like a burden or charity case. "You know what I keep thinking about?" Jeremy said one evening as Logan helped him with his physical therapy exercises. "What's that?" "Before the accident, I was stressed about everything. Money, grades, making something of myself so I'd be worthy of all the help you've given our family." Jeremy paused and his leg lifts. "But lying in that hospital bed, I realized the most important thing wasn't proving I deserved your help. It was just being grateful for it." Logan felt his throat tighten. "You don't have to prove anything to me, Jeremy." "Yeah, I do. But not because you're expecting it. Because you've given me the chance to become the man I want to be." That night, as Logan and Amara prepared for bed, she was unusually quiet. "Everything okay?" Logan asked. "I've been thinking about something Jeremy said about being grateful versus feeling like he had to prove himself." "What about it?" Amara sat on the edge of the bed, choosing her words carefully. "I think I've been trying to prove I deserve your love instead of just accepting it." Logan stopped brushing his teeth and came to sit beside her. "What do you mean?" "Working extra hours, taking those business classes, trying to transform myself into someone who fits in your world. I've been so focused on becoming worthy of you that I forgot you fell in love with who I already was." "Amara? I'm not saying I want to stop growing or learning. But I think I need to trust that you love me for me, not for who I might become." Logan cupped her face in his hands. "I fell in love with a woman who worked 2 jobs to take care of her family. Who was kind to everyone she met, who had integrity even when it cost her something, who faced every challenge with grace and determination. Everything else, the career development, the new experiences, those are just bonuses. Even if I never become the sophisticated woman who naturally belongs at charity galas? Especially then. Amara, half those women at the gala were born into wealth and have never faced a real challenge in their lives. You've earned every good thing that's happened to you. Amara leaned into his touch. I love you for accepting my family so completely. Watching you with Jeremy these past weeks, seeing how much you genuinely care about him, it made me realize something. What? This isn't just a relationship anymore. We're building a family. Logan's eyes grew bright. Is that what you want? A family with me? More than anything. 2 weeks later, Jeremy was cleared to return to his own apartment, though he still needed daily physical therapy. The night before he moved out, the three of them had dinner together on Logan's terrace. I have something to tell you both, Jeremy announced over dessert. Should we be worried? Amara asked with a smile. No, it's good news. I've been accepted into the environmental engineering program at Columbia. Full scholarship plus a research stipend. Jeremy, that's amazing. Amara exclaimed. How did you manage that? Logan asked, though his smile suggested he already knew. Someone made some calls to someone who knew someone who reviewed my application and my project proposals. Jeremy looked directly at Logan. I know it was you. I might have mentioned your name to a few people. Logan, you opened a door, but I had to walk through it myself. They accepted me based on my work, my ideas, my potential. Exactly, Logan said firmly. I can make introductions, but I can't make someone talented. That's all you. Later, as they cleaned up from dinner, Jeremy pulled Amara aside. Sis, I need to say something. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I just want you to know that Logan is the real deal. The way he's taking care of our family, the way he looks at you, the way he treats people who can't do anything for him. That's a man you can build a life with. I'm glad you approve. More than approve. I'm grateful every day that you won that raffle. That night, as Logan and Amara lay in bed, she reflected on how much had changed since Jeremy's accident. You know what I realized during these past few weeks? She said quietly. What's that? When Jeremy was hurt, you didn't hesitate to drop everything and help. You didn't calculate the cost or weigh the benefits. You just did what needed to be done because you love me. Of course I did. That's when I knew for certain that what we have is real. Not just attraction, not just gratitude on my part or fascination on yours. Real, lasting love. Logan pulled her closer. I've known that since our second dinner together. Really? Really? When you told me about your family, when you accepted my help with such grace, when you looked at me like I was just Logan instead of Logan Pierce, CEO. That's when I knew you were the woman I wanted to spend my life with. Are we talking about spending our lives together? Amara asked, her heart racing. We are if you want to be. I do want to be. Logan rolled over to face her in the darkness. Amara Johnson, I love you more than I thought possible. You've made me a better man, a happier man, a man who actually looks forward to coming home every day. Logan Pierce, I love you beyond words. You've given me a life I never dared to dream of, but more than that, you've loved me exactly as I am. As they fell asleep in each other's arms, both of them were thinking the same thing. They'd found something rare and precious, something worth building a future around. Neither of them knew that Logan was already planning to make their commitment official in the most romantic way possible. 6 months after Jeremy's accident, the Sustainable Development Division under Amara's management had exceeded all expectations. 3 affordable housing projects were under construction, 2 environmental consulting contracts had been secured, and Jeremy was working part-time as a research assistant while finishing his degree. Amara sat in the conference room reviewing quarterly reports when Logan entered with an expression she couldn't read. Good morning, beautiful, he said, but there was something formal in his tone that made her look up sharply. Good morning. You seem serious today. I have a business proposition for you. Logan sat across from her at the conference table instead of beside her as he usually did. A professional one. Amara felt a flutter of nervousness. Okay. Logan opened a leather portfolio and slid several documents across the table. Sterling Corp is spinning off the Sustainable Development Division into its own company. I want you to be the CEO. Amara stared at the papers without comprehension. I'm sorry, what? Green Future Development, fully funded, completely independent from Sterling Corporation. You'd have your own board of directors, your own budget, complete operational control. Logan, I can't run a company. I've only been in management for 6 months. You've successfully launched 3 major projects, secured $2 million in consulting contracts, and built a team that would follow you anywhere. Logan's voice was steady, professional. The board has already approved the concept. They want you to lead it. Amara's hands shook as she flipped through the incorporation papers, budget projections, and organizational charts. Everything was detailed, thorough, and completely overwhelming. This is incredible, but why? Why now? Logan leaned back in his chair. Because you're ready. Because the work you're doing is too important to be just one division of a larger company. Because you deserve to build something that's entirely yours. What would this mean for us? Personally? For the first time since entering the room, Logan's professional mask slipped slightly. It means you'd be my equal in every way. Not my employee, not someone I helped get started, but a successful businesswoman in your own right. Amara studied his face carefully. Is that important to you? It's important for you. I've watched you struggle with feeling like you don't deserve what you have, like you're playing a role instead of living your life. This changes that. And if I say no? Then nothing changes. You keep doing exactly what you're doing now, and I keep loving you exactly as much as I do today. Amara looked down at the papers again. How long do I have to decide? As long as you need. That evening, Amara called an emergency family dinner. She, Logan, Jeremy, and Rita gathered around the dining table in the penthouse to discuss the opportunity. You want to make my daughter a CEO? Rita asked, pride evident in her voice. I want to give her the recognition she's already earned, Logan corrected. The division's success is entirely due to her leadership. But the responsibility, Amara said, voicing her concerns. What if I fail? What if I make decisions that cost people their jobs or their homes? Jeremy looked up from studying the business plan. Sis, what if you succeed? What if you build something that provides hundreds of families with affordable, sustainable housing? What if your company becomes the model for environmental responsibility in development? He's right, Rita added. Baby, you've never failed at anything you've put your mind to. You raised Jeremy, you took care of me, you've succeeded at every job you've ever had. This is different. This is huge. Logan reached across the table and took her hand. Amara, I have complete faith in you. But more than that, I'll be here to support you every step of the way. Not as your boyfriend who helped you get started, but as someone who believes in your vision and abilities. You'd really be okay with me running my own company? With us being business equals? I'd be proud to be known as Amara Johnson's partner. Is Logan pushing Amara too fast, or is this exactly what she needs to fully step into her power? What would you do if someone offered you the chance to run your own company? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe to see if Amara takes this life-changing leap. The next morning, Amara asked Logan to meet her in the conference room where he'd made his proposal. I've made my decision, she announced. Logan's expression was carefully neutral. And? Yes, I accept. I want to be the CEO of Green Future Development. Logan's professional mask cracked completely, revealing pure joy and pride. Really? Really? You're right, I'm ready for this. And I want to build something meaningful. Logan stood up and swept her into his arms, spinning her around the conference room. I'm so proud of you. Are you sure about the business side of things? Us working as equals instead of you being my benefactor? Logan set her down and took her hands. Amara, I've been waiting for this moment since I first met you. Not because I wanted to change our dynamic, but because I wanted you to see yourself the way I see you. Capable, brilliant, and absolutely deserving of every success. The next month was a whirlwind of meetings, legal documents, and strategic planning. Logan proved true to his word, supporting Amara's decisions while making it clear that Green Future Development was entirely her company. The press announcement generated significant media attention. From cleaning lady to CEO, a modern Cinderella story ran in one business magazine. Logan Pierce's girlfriend gets her own company, speculated another. The headlines are awful, Amara said, tossing down the latest magazine during their morning coffee. The headlines are irrelevant, Logan replied calmly. What matters is the work you're doing and the success you're building. But they make it sound like you just handed me a company as some kind of romantic gesture. Logan set down his coffee and took her hands. Amara, look at me. Do you think I'd risk millions of dollars and Sterling Corp's reputation on a romantic gesture? No, but do you think I'd put my name and recommendation behind someone I didn't believe was absolutely qualified? No. Then trust that everyone who matters in business will see your results and judge you accordingly. The gossip will fade, but your accomplishments will speak for themselves. Logan was right. Within 3 months, Green Future Development had secured its first major contract. A 200-unit affordable housing development that would be the largest sustainable construction project in the city's history. This is it, Amara said, reviewing the signed contracts with her team. This project alone will house nearly 500 people in energy-efficient, affordable homes. Her assistant, Carol, beamed with pride. And we're already getting calls about similar projects in other cities. That evening, Amara and Logan celebrated with a quiet dinner at home. How does it feel? Logan asked, raising his wine glass in a toast. Scary. Exciting. Right. Amara clinked her glass against his. Thank you for believing in me before I believed in myself. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. Logan, can I ask you something? Always. When you made this offer, was part of it about making sure I felt like an equal partner in our relationship? Logan considered the question seriously. Partially, yes. Not because I saw you as less than equal, but because I knew you did. I wanted you to see what I've always seen, a woman capable of building empires. And now you're the CEO of a rapidly growing company, you're making a real difference in people's lives, and you carry yourself like you own the world. Logan's eyes sparkled with admiration. Now you know what I've known all along. 6 months later, Green Future Development had 12 employees, contracts in 3 states, and a waiting list of cities wanting to partner with them. Amara had been featured on the cover of 2 business magazines and invited to speak at a sustainable development conference in Chicago. I have another business proposition for you, Logan said one evening as they walked through Central Park. Another company? Amara asked with a laugh. No, a merger. With Sterling Corp? Logan stopped walking and turned to face her. With me. Amara's breath caught as Logan dropped to one knee, pulling out a ring box that sparkled in the lamplight. Amara Johnson, you've made me successful in the only way that matters. You've made me happy. Will you marry me? The ring was perfect. Elegant but not ostentatious, sophisticated but not cold. Everything Logan had learned she loved. Yes, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Yes, absolutely yes. As Logan slipped the ring onto her finger, Amara realized that somewhere along the way, she'd stopped feeling like she was playing a role in someone else's life. She was living her own life, building her own dreams, loving and being loved completely. The scared woman who'd won a company raffle had become a confident CEO ready to merge her life with the man who'd seen her potential from day one. I love you, Logan Pierce. I love you too, Amara Johnson. My equal, my partner, my everything. As they walked home to start planning their wedding, both of them knew they'd found something rare. A love that made them both better than they'd ever been alone. 3 weeks after Logan's proposal, Amara was deep in budget reviews when Carol knocked on her office door. Amara, there's a Mrs. Patricia Williams here to see you. She says she's your grandmother? Amara's pen froze mid-signature. She hadn't seen her father's mother in over 8 years, not since the woman had made it clear she disapproved of Rita's choices and wanted nothing to do with her grandchildren's lives. Send her in, Amara said, straightening her shoulders. Patricia Williams entered the office looking every bit as imperious as Amara remembered. Well-dressed, silver-haired, and carrying herself with the bearing of someone accustomed to being the most important person in any room. Grandmother, Amara said carefully, standing but not moving from behind her desk. Amara, you look well. Patricia's eyes swept the office, taking in the expensive furniture, city view, and corporate trappings. I heard about your success. Thank you. What brings you here? I think we should discuss your engagement to Logan Pierce. Amara felt her spine stiffen. I wasn't aware my personal life was any of your business. You're a Williams whether you acknowledge it or not. What you do reflects on the family name. The family name you disowned when you cut contact with Jeremy and me 8 years ago? Patricia had the grace to look momentarily uncomfortable. I disagreed with some of your mother's decisions. That doesn't mean I stopped caring about my grandchildren's welfare. Our welfare. Amara's voice rose slightly. Grandmother, where were you when Mom was diagnosed with cancer? Where were you when Jeremy needed help with college tuition? Where were you during the years we struggled to keep food on the table? I was told you didn't want my help. By whom? Patricia shifted uncomfortably. That's not important now. What matters is that you're about to marry one of the most powerful men in the city, and you need guidance on how to navigate that world. Amara laughed, but there was no humor in it. Guidance? From someone who's been absent from my life for nearly a decade. Amara, I know you're angry, but I'm not angry, grandmother. I'm successful. I have a career I've built myself, a family that loves and supports me, and a fiancé who sees my worth. I don't need guidance from someone who only shows interest in my life when it becomes socially advantageous. Patricia's mask slipped slightly. You don't understand the pressures you'll face as Logan Pierce's wife. The scrutiny, the expectations, the social obligations. I can help you prepare. And what would you want in return for this help? Nothing. Just acknowledgement that family is important. Before Amara could respond, her office door opened and Logan walked in, stopping short when he saw Patricia. "I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had a meeting," he said. "Logan, this is my paternal grandmother, Patricia Williams. Grandmother, this is my fiancé, Logan Pierce." Logan extended his hand politely. "Mrs. Williams, nice to meet you." Patricia shook his hand, and Amara watched her transform into the charming socialite she could be when it suited her purposes. "Mr. Pierce, what a pleasure. I've followed your business successes with great interest." "Thank you. I was just stopping by to see if Amara wanted to grab lunch, but I can come back later." "Actually," Amara said, standing and gathering her purse, "we were just finishing up. Grandmother, it was interesting to see you again. Amara, perhaps we could have dinner this week? I'd love to hear more about your business. I'll have Carol check my schedule and get back to you." As they walked to the elevator, Logan glanced at Amara's tense expression. "Everything okay?" "Family drama. The kind I thought I'd left behind. Want to talk about it?" Amara waited until they were in Logan's car before explaining about her grandmother's sudden reappearance. "She cut contact when Jeremy was 11 and I was 18. Decided my mother was beneath her standards and that associating with us would tarnish the family reputation. And now I'm engaged to a billionaire, so suddenly I'm worthy of her attention again." Logan was quiet for a moment. "How do you want to handle it?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to tell her to disappear back to wherever she's been for 8 years. But another part of me wonders if I should give her a chance. What does your mother think?" "I haven't told her yet. Mom has complicated feelings about Patricia. She tried so hard to get her approval when Dad was alive, and the rejection really hurt her." That evening, Amara, Logan, Jeremy, and Rita gathered for their weekly family dinner. Amara waited until they'd finished eating before broaching the subject. "Mom, I need to tell you something. Grandmother Williams came to see me today." Rita's fork clattered against her plate. "Patricia came to see you? She says she wants to be involved in my life now that I'm getting married." "And what did you tell her?" "That she's been absent for 8 years and doesn't get to suddenly reappear and offer guidance." Jeremy looked confused. "Why would she want to be involved now?" "Because Logan's wealthy and prominent," Rita said quietly. "Being associated with his family would be socially advantageous for her." "That's what I thought too," Amara agreed. "But she seemed, I don't know, maybe genuinely regretful?" Logan had remained silent during the conversation, but now he leaned forward. "Rita, what's your instinct about Patricia's motivations?" Rita sighed deeply. "Honestly, I think she's probably sincere about wanting to reconnect, but for all the wrong reasons. Patricia has always cared deeply about social standing and appearances. But she's still family," Jeremy pointed out. "Maybe we should give her a chance?" "Jeremy's right," Logan said carefully. "But that doesn't mean you have to accept her back unconditionally. You could set boundaries, make it clear what kind of relationship you're willing to have." Amara looked around the table at the people who had stood by her through everything. "What kind of boundaries?" "She doesn't get to waltz back in and pretend the last 8 years didn't happen," Rita said firmly. "If she wants to be part of this family, she needs to acknowledge the hurt she caused and prove she's changed. And," Jeremy added, "she doesn't get to use your success to elevate her own social status without actually investing in relationships with us." Logan nodded. "I'd also suggest keeping your wedding planning separate from her input, at least initially. This is your and my day, not an opportunity for her to network." The next week, Amara agreed to have dinner with Patricia at a neutral restaurant. She arrived to find her grandmother already seated, looking nervous for the first time in Amara's memory. "Thank you for coming," Patricia said as Amara sat down. "Before we go any further, I need to say something," Amara began. "If you're here because you think associating with Logan's family will benefit you socially, this conversation ends now." Patricia winced. "I deserve that. But Amara, I want you to know that I've regretted cutting contact for years." "Then why didn't you reach out?" "When Mom was sick, when Jeremy was struggling in school, when we really needed family support." "Pride. Stubbornness. Fear that you'd reject me the way I rejected you." Patricia's voice was quieter than usual. "I convinced myself you were better off without me. We were better off without the judgment and criticism, yes. But we could have used the love and support a grandmother should provide." "I know. And I can't undo those years, but I'd like to try to be the grandmother I should have been." Amara studied her grandmother's face, looking for signs of manipulation or ulterior motives. What she saw instead was an older woman who seemed genuinely remorseful. What exactly are you asking for? A chance to know my grandchildren as the adults you've become. A chance to be present for the important moments I've missed. A chance to support you instead of judging you. And in return? Nothing. No social advantage, no reflected glory from your success. Just the opportunity to be family again. Amara was quiet for a long moment. I'll need time to think about this. And if we do move forward, it has to include Mom. You hurt her deeply and she doesn't deserve to be excluded now. Of course. Rita is Jeremy's mother and the woman who raised you. She'll always be part of this family. One more thing. Logan and I are planning our wedding ourselves. If you want to be involved, you're welcome, but as a grandmother, not as a social coordinator. Patricia smiled for the first time during their conversation. I'd be honored to be involved as your grandmother. 2 weeks later, Patricia joined the family for Sunday dinner. The evening was initially awkward, with years of hurt and mistrust creating tension around the table. But gradually, watching Patricia interact with Jeremy about his engineering studies and seeing her genuine interest in Logan's sustainable development projects, Amara began to believe her grandmother's change of heart might be real. Amara tells me you're planning a Christmas wedding, Patricia said as they cleared the dishes. Christmas Eve actually, Logan replied. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. How lovely. If you need any help with arrangements. Actually, Amara interrupted, we could use help with flowers. Logan's hopeless at choosing decorations, and I'm too busy with work to visit florists. Patricia's face lit up. I'd love to help with that. Later, as they prepared for bed, Logan asked Amara how she felt about the evening. Better than I expected, she admitted. She seems genuinely different. More humble, less judgmental. People can change, especially when they realize what they've lost. I'm going to give her a chance, but slowly. Trust has to be earned back. That's wise. And Amara? Whatever you decide about your grandmother, it won't change how I feel about you or our future together. I know. That's one of the things I love most about you. You support my decisions without trying to influence them. Over the next month, Patricia proved her commitment to rebuilding relationships. She attended Jeremy's presentation at Columbia, helped Rita with her physical therapy appointments, and spent hours with Amara visiting florists and cake decorators for the wedding. You know what's surprising me? Amara told Logan one evening as they reviewed wedding RSVPs. What's that? How much I've missed having a grandmother. I'd forgotten what it was like to have someone from my father's side of the family who cared about us. Are you glad she came back? I think so. It's still complicated and I don't think I'll ever completely trust her the way I trust Mom or Jeremy. But it feels good to have the family complete again. The week before Christmas, Patricia surprised everyone by hosting a pre-wedding dinner at her elegant Manhattan apartment. Amara was nervous as they walked into the space filled with expensive antiques and family photos she'd never seen before. These are pictures of your father when he was young, Patricia explained, showing Amara and Jeremy photographs of the man they barely remembered. He looks like Jeremy, Rita observed softly. He does. And Amara has his determined expression when she's focused on something important. As the evening progressed, Patricia shared stories about their father's childhood, his dreams of becoming an architect, his excitement when he met Rita in nursing school. I was wrong to disapprove of your relationship, Patricia told Rita during a quiet moment. He loved you completely and you made him happy. That should have been enough for me. We all make mistakes when we're grieving, Rita replied graciously. What matters is that we're here now, about to celebrate Amara's happiness. That night, as they drove home from Patricia's apartment, Amara reflected on how much their family dynamic had shifted. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad she came back. She adds something that was missing, Logan agreed. Not just another person, but connection to your father's memory. Jeremy seemed happy tonight. He's never really known what Dad was like as a person, just the stories Mom tells. Hearing Patricia's memories gave him a different perspective. And your mother seemed more relaxed than I've seen her in months. I think she feels vindicated. Patricia's acknowledgement that she was wrong about their relationship probably heals an old wound. 3 days before Christmas Eve, Patricia pulled Amara aside after a final wedding planning meeting. I have something for you, she said, producing a small velvet box. It was your father's mother's, and it should have come to you years ago. Inside was a delicate pearl necklace with a small diamond clasp. Your great-grandmother wore this on her wedding day, and your father always said he wanted you to have it when you got married. Tears filled Amara's eyes. Grandmother, I don't know what to say. Say you'll wear it Christmas Eve, and that you forgive a stubborn old woman for almost missing the most important day of her granddaughter's life. I forgive you, Amara whispered, hugging Patricia tightly. And thank you for coming back to us. As Christmas Eve approached, Amara marveled at how different her life looked compared to a year ago. Not just the external changes, the career and financial security, but the completeness of having her entire family united and happy. She was marrying the man she loved, surrounded by everyone who mattered to her, wearing a necklace that connected her to the family history she'd thought was lost forever. Sometimes the most precious gifts came disguised as second chances. Christmas Eve morning dawned crisp and clear, with fresh snow covering Central Park like a blanket of diamonds. Amara stood at the penthouse windows, watching the city wake up on her wedding day, feeling a sense of peace she'd never experienced before. Having second thoughts? Logan's voice came from behind her, warm with amusement. She turned to find him carrying 2 cups of coffee, already dressed in his tuxedo pants and white shirt, though his bow tie hung loose around his neck. Never, she said, accepting the coffee gratefully. Just thinking about how much has changed in 1 year. Good changes? The best changes. Amara sipped her coffee and leaned against his chest. A year ago, I was working 2 jobs, choosing between groceries and medicine for Mom, watching Jeremy struggle to stay in school. I felt like I was drowning in responsibilities. And now I'm the CEO of my own company, Mom is healthy and happy, Jeremy is thriving in his program, and I'm about to marry the most amazing man I've ever known. Logan set down his coffee and wrapped his arms around her. You know what I was thinking about this morning? Tell me. Our first dinner. How nervous you were, how you kept apologizing for everything, how you almost refused my help. I was terrified, Amara laughed. You were so intimidating. I was intimidated too. You? Intimidated by me? Completely. Here was this beautiful, genuine woman who worked harder than anyone I'd ever met, who put her family's needs above her own comfort, who looked at me like I was just a person instead of a bank account. Logan's voice grew soft. You scared me because I knew within 5 minutes of meeting you that you were going to change my life. Did you really know that quickly? I knew something was different. I'd been through dozens of business dinners, charity events, social gatherings where people wanted something from me. But you just wanted to take care of your family. Your motivation was so pure, so selfless. Amara turned in his arms to face him. And what do you want now, Mr. Pierce? Now I want to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you've made me. That's a pretty good wedding day goal. They were interrupted by the sound of voices in the hallway. Rita, Jeremy, and Patricia had arrived to help with final preparations. The bride shouldn't be seeing the groom before the ceremony, Rita called out as she entered the living room with garment bags and flower boxes. We have 3 hours until the ceremony, Mom, Amara protested. 3 hours to transform you into a vision of bridal perfection, Patricia added, looking more excited than Amara had ever seen her. Logan kissed Amara's forehead. I'll go finish getting ready in the guest room. See you at the altar, beautiful. The next 3 hours passed in a whirlwind of hair styling, makeup application, and dress fitting. Patricia had proven surprisingly helpful with wedding preparations, using her social connections to secure a renowned photographer and string quartet on short notice. How do I look? Amara asked as she stood before the full-length mirror in Logan's bedroom. Her dress was simple but elegant, ivory silk with delicate beading, a style that complemented her natural beauty without overwhelming it. Her hair was pulled back in a soft chignon, and her great-grandmother's pearl necklace provided the perfect finishing touch. You look like a princess, Jeremy said, his voice thick with emotion. Dad would be so proud. We're all proud, Rita added, tears glistening in her eyes. You've become an amazing woman, baby. Patricia stepped forward with a small gift box. Something blue, she said simply. Inside were delicate sapphire earrings that perfectly complemented the pearl necklace. Grandmother, they're beautiful. They were your father's gift to me on my wedding day. I want you to have something that connects all the women in our family. 20 minutes later, Amara walked through the penthouse toward the living room where the ceremony would take place. Logan had wanted to rent a church or ballroom, but Amara had insisted on celebrating in their home, surrounded by the space they'd built together. The room had been transformed with white roses, candles, and flowing fabric that created an intimate chapel atmosphere. The string quartet played softly as guests found their seats. Logan's business associates, a few close friends, and the family that had become the center of both their worlds. When the music shifted to the wedding march, Amara appeared at the top of the stairs with Jeremy at her side. Ready, sis? He whispered. More than ready. As they descended the stairs, Amara's eyes found Logan immediately. He stood at the makeshift altar, looking handsome and confident in his black tuxedo, but it was the expression on his face that took her breath away. Wonder, love, and complete happiness radiated from his smile. Jeremy walked her to the altar, kissed her cheek, and placed her hand in Logan's before taking his seat beside Rita and Patricia. "You're beautiful," Logan whispered as the officiant began the ceremony. The service was short but meaningful. They'd written their own vows, choosing to speak from the heart rather than recite traditional words. "Amara," Logan began, his voice steady but emotional, "a year ago I thought I knew what success looked like. I had money, power, influence, everything I thought I wanted. But meeting you taught me that real success is measured in love, laughter, and the peace that comes from being completely known and accepted by another person. You've given me a family, a purpose, and a future I never dared to dream of. But more than that, you've given me yourself, completely and without reservation. I promise to love you, support you, and stand beside you as we build whatever comes next." Amara wiped tears from her eyes before beginning her own vows. "Logan, you saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. You looked past my circumstances and saw my potential. You offered help without expecting anything in return, and you loved me exactly as I was while encouraging me to become more than I imagined possible. You've shown me what it means to be truly partnered with someone, to have a teammate who believes in your dreams and supports your goals. I promise to love you through every success and challenge, to be your equal partner in everything we build together." When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Logan's kiss was tender, reverent, and full of promise for their future. The reception was small but joyful. They danced to music played by the string quartet, shared cake that Patricia had ordered from the city's finest bakery, and celebrated with the people who mattered most to them. "I have an announcement," Logan said as the evening wound down, standing and raising his champagne glass. "Logan, we've already made all the announcements," Amara laughed. "Not this one." He smiled mysteriously. "I've been working on a wedding gift for my beautiful wife." He produced an envelope and handed it to Amara. Inside were architectural drawings and development permits. "What is this?" "Remember Jeremy's dream of building affordable, sustainable housing? I've secured permits for a 500-unit development in Brooklyn. Jeremy will design it, Green Future Development will build it, and it will be the largest sustainable affordable housing project in New York State history." Jeremy nearly choked on his champagne. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. Assuming you're interested in the challenge?" "Interested." Jeremy jumped up and hugged Logan enthusiastically. "This is incredible. Amara, this is everything we've ever talked about building." Amara stared at the plans, overwhelmed by the scope of Logan's gift. This must have taken months to arrange. 6 months of permit applications, environmental studies, and city planning meetings, Logan confirmed. "I wanted our wedding gift to be something that would make a lasting difference." "Our wedding gift?" Amara asked. "Our wedding gift to the city. What better way to start our marriage than by working together on something meaningful?" Later that evening, after the guests had left and they were alone in their home as husband and wife for the first time, Amara and Logan sat on their terrace looking out over the city lights. "How does it feel to be Mrs. Pierce?" Logan asked. "Actually, I'm keeping Johnson professionally. Green Future Development was built under that name, and I want to maintain that identity." "And personally?" "Personally, I'm Amara Johnson Pierce and I couldn't be happier about it." Logan pulled her closer on the outdoor sofa they'd wrapped in blankets against the December cold. "What are you thinking about?" he asked, noticing her contemplative expression. "I'm thinking about that scared woman who won a company raffle 12 months ago. She was so worried about whether she deserved the prize. And now I know that the dinner was never the real prize. Finding you, building this life, creating this family, that was the prize." "No," Logan said softly, "you were the prize. For both of us." As snow began to fall gently around them, Amara reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. Every challenge had led to growth, every act of trust had strengthened their bond, and every dream they'd shared had become reality. "Logan." "Yes, beautiful? What do you want to do first as a married couple?" "Change the world, one sustainable building at a time." Amara laughed. "I love that our idea of pillow talk involves urban planning. We're not a typical couple. No, we're better. We're partners in everything: business, family, dreams, and love." As they headed inside to begin their first night as husband and wife, both of them knew they'd found something rare and precious. A love that made them both stronger, kinder, and more capable than they'd ever been apart. The company Raffle had brought them together, but it was the choice to trust, support, and build together that would keep them connected forever. 6 months into their marriage, Amara and Logan faced their first major test as business partners. Green Future Development had grown beyond their wildest expectations, with projects in 4 states and a waiting list of cities wanting to work with them. But success brought new challenges. Amara sat in her office reviewing a stack of proposals, each representing millions of dollars in potential contracts, when Logan knocked on her door. "Busy?" he asked, though he could see she was swamped. "Always. What's up?" "We need to talk about the future of Green Future Development." Something in his tone made Amara look up from her papers. "That sounds serious." "It is. We have some decisions to make." Logan sat across from her desk, and for a moment, Amara was reminded of their first business meeting when he'd offered to make her CEO. "3 major developers have approached me this week," Logan began. "They all want to buy Green Future Development." "Buy us? We're not for sale." "The offers are substantial, Amara. We're talking about enough money to fund sustainable housing projects in every major city in the country." Amara set down her pen. "How substantial?" $200 million. For a company you've been running for 18 months. The number took Amara's breath away. 200 million? Plus they want to retain you as president of their sustainable development division, with full operational control and a budget most CEOs would kill for. "And you? What would you do?" Logan was quiet for a moment. "That depends on what you want to do." "Logan, this is my company. You gave it to me. The decision should be mine." "Our company," Logan corrected gently. "We're married now, remember? Your successes are my successes, your dreams are my dreams." Amara stood up and walked to her office window, looking out at the construction site where their first major project was nearing completion. 200 families would soon move into affordable, energy-efficient homes because of work she'd overseen personally. "What's your gut feeling?" she asked without turning around. "Honestly, I'm torn. The money would allow us to scale faster and help more people. But you've built something special here, something personal. Green Future Development isn't just a company, it's your vision made real. Would we still work together if I sold?" "If you wanted to. I could consult on the projects, help with funding, be involved however you'd like." Amara turned to face him. "But it wouldn't be the same." "No, it wouldn't be the same." That evening, they discussed the offer over dinner with Jeremy and Rita, both of whom had become informal advisors on major decisions. $200 million, Jeremy repeated, shaking his head in amazement. "Sis, do you realize what you could do with that money?" "Build a lot more housing," Amara said quietly. "Or," Rita added thoughtfully, "you could lose control of your vision in exchange for someone else's money." "What do you mean, Mom?" "Baby, you built Green Future Development because you wanted to create housing that actually serves working families. You wanted sustainable construction that communities could afford. What happens when profit margins become more important than those goals?" Logan nodded. "That's a valid concern. Large corporations have different priorities than small, mission-driven companies." "But Jeremy's right too," Amara said. "With 200 million, we could help hundreds of thousands of people instead of just thousands. Or you could keep building Green Future Development into something that helps millions," Patricia said. She'd been quietly listening to the conversation while helping clear the dishes. "How so?" "Instead of selling to one company, what if you franchised your model? Licensed other developers to use your sustainable building methods and community-focused approach? You'd maintain control of the standards while expanding much faster than traditional growth would allow." Logan looked impressed. "That's actually brilliant. You could scale the impact without losing the mission." "But would banks and investors support that kind of expansion?" Amara asked. "They would if Sterling Corp backed it," Logan said slowly, the idea clearly forming in his mind. "We could create a new division focused entirely on supporting sustainable development franchises." Jeremy looked up from his phone where he'd been typing rapidly. "I just did some quick math. If you franchise to even 20 developers in major cities, the impact would be equivalent to accepting the buyout offer, but you'd retain control and ownership. Plus," Rita added, "you'd be teaching others to build responsibly instead of just building more units yourself." Amara felt excitement building in her chest. "We could create training programs, certification requirements, ongoing support systems. Quality control measures to ensure every project meets your standards," Logan continued. "And Jeremy could design standardized sustainable systems that any franchise could implement," Patricia added. "This could work," Amara said, pacing around the dining room. "This could really work." "So what's your answer to the buyout offer?" Logan asked. "Thank you, but no. We're building something bigger. The next morning, Amara called the developers who'd made buyout offers and politely declined. Then she spent the day working with Logan to outline their new franchise strategy. "We'll need legal frameworks, training programs, financial backing for franchisees," she said, making lists on a whiteboard in her office. "We'll need quality control systems, regular audits, performance standards," Logan added. "We'll need to be very selective about who we partner with. This only works if every franchisee shares our commitment to community-focused development." Agreed. Better to grow slowly with the right partners than quickly with the wrong ones. 3 months later, Green Future Development announced its new franchise model at a Sustainable Development Conference in Seattle. The response was overwhelming. 47 developers from 31 cities applied for franchise opportunities within the first week. "We can only take 12 in the first year," Amara told Logan as they reviewed applications in their hotel room. "How do we choose?" "Experience, commitment to community development, financial stability, and..." Amara paused, looking for the right word. "And? Heart. We need partners who see this as more than just a business opportunity." They spent the next 2 days interviewing potential franchisees, looking for developers who shared their vision of sustainable, affordable housing that truly served working families. "I have good news and challenging news," Amara announced to their team back in New York. "Good news first," Carol requested. "We've selected 12 franchise partners for our pilot program. We'll be supporting sustainable development projects in 12 cities across the country, with an estimated impact of 3,000 housing units in the first year." "That's incredible," Jeremy said. "What's the challenging news?" "We need to grow our team by 400% to support the franchise program properly. We're going from 12 employees to 50 employees in 6 months." Logan smiled. "Sounds like we're going to be busy." "Sounds like we're going to change a lot of lives," Amara corrected. That evening, as they walked through their first completed development, Amara reflected on how much her perspective had changed. "A year ago, I would have taken the buyout offer without hesitation," she told Logan. "What changed your mind?" "You. My family. Understanding that sometimes the bigger risk is playing it safe." "How so?" "Taking $200 million would have been the safe choice. Guaranteed money, guaranteed security, someone else handling the hard decisions." Amara stopped walking and took Logan's hands. "But safe doesn't change the world. And you want to change the world?" "I want to leave it better than I found it. I want Jeremy's children to grow up in a world where sustainable, affordable housing is the norm, not the exception." "Speaking of Jeremy's children," Logan said with a mysterious smile. "What about them?" "Well, they'll need cousins to play with." Amara's heart skipped. "Logan Pierce, are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that maybe it's time to add another member to our family." "A baby?" "A baby. Our baby." Tears sprang to Amara's eyes. "Are you sure? Things are so busy with the business expansion." "Things will always be busy. But Amara, I can't think of anything I want more than to raise children with you." "Yes," she whispered, standing on her toes to kiss him. "Yes, let's have a baby." As they walked home through the city that had become their playground for dreams, both of them felt the excitement of a new chapter beginning. They'd built a successful business, a strong marriage, and a loving extended family. Now they were ready to create new life and share all they'd learned about love, determination, and building something meaningful together. The woman who'd once worried about deserving a prize dinner was now confidently planning to leave a legacy that would outlast them both. 1 year later, Amara stood in the nursery of their penthouse, gently rocking their 3-month-old daughter, Sophia, while reviewing contracts for Green Future Development's newest franchise location. "You're going to be a multitasking master just like your mama," she whispered to the baby, who was contentedly falling asleep in her arms. Logan appeared in the doorway, having just returned from a business trip to oversee their West Coast expansion. "How are my girls?" he asked softly, crossing to kiss both Amara and Sophia. "We're perfect. How did the San Francisco meeting go?" "Exceptionally well. The franchise there is ahead of schedule and under budget. They'll be breaking ground on their second development next month." Amara smiled as she placed Sophia in her crib. "That makes 15 active projects across 12 cities. With waiting lists in 20 more cities," Logan added. "You've built something extraordinary, Mrs. Johnson Pierce." "We've built something extraordinary," she corrected, settling into his arms as they watched their sleeping daughter. The past year had been a whirlwind of growth, both personal and professional. Green Future Development's franchise model had exceeded all projections, with their certified developers completing affordable housing projects that had housed over 4,000 families while maintaining the highest sustainability standards in the industry. "I have news," Logan said, his voice carrying a note of excitement that made Amara look up at him. "Good news?" "The best news. The National Sustainable Housing Council wants to present Green Future Development with their Innovation Award at next month's conference." "Logan, that's incredible." "It gets better. They want you to deliver the keynote address about scaling sustainable development while maintaining community focus." Amara felt tears prick her eyes. 2 years ago, she'd been cleaning office buildings and worrying about her family's next meal. Now she was being recognized as a national leader in sustainable development. "Will you do it?" Logan asked. "Of course I'll do it. Though I'll be nervous speaking to that many industry professionals." "You'll be brilliant. You always are when you're talking about something you're passionate about." The next morning brought unexpected visitors. Jeremy arrived for their weekly family breakfast with a young woman Amara had never met. "Everyone, I'd like you to meet Dr. Lisa Chen," Jeremy announced, his face glowing with happiness. "My girlfriend and research partner at Columbia." Lisa was a petite woman with kind eyes and an infectious smile who clearly adored Jeremy. Over breakfast, she shared her background in environmental engineering and her work developing new sustainable building materials. "Jeremy's told me so much about all of you," Lisa said as Rita passed around pictures of baby Sophia. "Thank you for welcoming me into your family breakfast." "Any friend of Jeremy's is family to us," Rita replied warmly. "Speaking of family," Patricia added with a mischievous twinkle in her eye, "I have an announcement of my own." Everyone turned to look at her expectantly. "I've been volunteering with the literacy program at the community center in Queens, teaching adults to read and helping them with job applications." "Grandmother, that's wonderful," Amara said, genuinely impressed. "It's taught me something important. Real fulfillment comes from service, not social status. I wasted too many years worrying about appearances when I could have been making a difference." Logan squeezed Amara's hand under the table. Her grandmother's transformation had been one of the most surprising aspects of their extended family's growth. After breakfast, Logan and Amara took Sophia for a walk through Central Park, enjoying the spring weather and reflecting on how blessed their life had become. "I keep waiting for someone to wake me up," Amara admitted as they sat by the pond watching ducks swim with their ducklings. "Why?" "Because this feels too perfect. Successful business, beautiful marriage, healthy baby, loving family. People don't actually get to have everything they want, do they?" Logan adjusted Sophia's blanket and considered his wife's question. "Maybe the difference is that we didn't just want these things. We worked for them, sacrificed for them, supported each other through challenges. Do you think we've earned our happiness?" "I think we've created our happiness. There's a difference." That afternoon, Amara received a call that would test that happiness in an unexpected way. "Mrs. Johnson Pierce? This is Detective Morrison with the NYPD. We need to discuss some irregularities we've discovered in one of your franchise operations." Amara's blood ran cold. "What kind of irregularities?" "We'd prefer to discuss this in person. Can you come to the station this afternoon?" 2 hours later, Amara and Logan sat in a stark conference room while Detective Morrison explained that their Chicago franchise had been cutting corners on construction materials and safety standards while charging clients full price for premium sustainable features. "How extensive is the problem?" Logan asked. "Potentially significant. We're investigating 12 properties built by Chicago Green Future over the past 8 months. Amara felt sick. "Are the residents in danger?" "Not immediate danger, but the buildings don't meet the safety and efficiency standards your company promises." "What are our legal obligations?" Logan asked. "That depends on how much oversight you maintained over your franchise operations." After leaving the police station, Amara and Logan drove home in silence, both processing the implications of what they'd learned. "This could destroy everything we've built," Amara said finally. "Not if we handle it right." "How do we handle something like this right?" "Our reputation is based on trust. If people can't trust our franchise partners to deliver what they promise." Logan pulled the car over and turned to face his wife. "Amara, what's the right thing to do here?" "Fix it. All of it. Make sure those families get the safe, efficient homes they paid for, even if it costs us millions." "Agreed. What else?" "Implement stronger oversight systems so this never happens again." "Also agreed. What else?" Amara was quiet for a moment, thinking. "Be completely transparent about what happened and what we're doing to fix it. Even if transparency hurts the business?" "Especially if transparency hurts the business. Logan, if we're going to fail, let's fail honestly." The next 3 months were the most challenging of their marriage. Green Future Development spent $4 million rebuilding and retrofitting the Chicago properties. They implemented a comprehensive audit system for all franchise operations and published a detailed report about the Chicago situation, including their response and new safeguards. The industry response was mixed. Some competitors criticized their lack of oversight. Others praised their comprehensive response and commitment to making things right. The Houston Chronicle wants to interview you about crisis management and sustainable development, Logan told Amara as she nursed Sophia one evening. Are we in crisis management mode? Not anymore. Applications for new franchises are actually up 20% since we published the Chicago report. Really? Really? Apparently, people trust a company that admits mistakes and fixes them more than they trust companies that claim to be perfect. 6 months later, Amara stood at the podium of the National Sustainable Housing Conference, looking out at an audience of 800 industry professionals, with Logan, Jeremy, Lisa, Rita, and Patricia sitting in the front row. 18 months ago, she began, Green Future Development faced a crisis that could have ended our franchise program before it really began. One of our partners cut corners, compromised safety standards, and betrayed the trust families placed in our brand. The audience was completely silent, hanging on every word. We had 2 choices: minimize the damage and hope it would blow over, or take full responsibility and fix everything regardless of cost. We chose the harder path because it was the right path. Amara clicked to the next slide, showing before and after photos of the Chicago properties. We spent $4 million retrofitting 12 buildings. We implemented audit systems that cost us another $2 million annually. We published a detailed report about our failures and our response, even though it hurt our reputation in the short term. She paused, making eye contact with several audience members. But here's what we learned. Integrity isn't just about doing the right thing when it's easy. It's about doing the right thing when it costs you everything you've worked for. And sometimes, doing the right thing is actually the best business decision you can make. The presentation continued for 20 more minutes, detailing their new oversight systems, quality control measures, and the positive outcomes that had resulted from their transparent response to the crisis. When Amara finished, the audience erupted in sustained applause. Several attendees stood, and within moments the entire room was on their feet. That was incredible, Logan said as Amara rejoined their table. You've just redefined how this industry thinks about accountability. I just told the truth, Amara replied, though she was glowing with pride and relief. After the conference, as they flew back to New York, Amara reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. Logan, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever miss the simplicity of our early relationship? When it was just us figuring out our feelings instead of managing franchises and giving keynote speeches. Logan considered the question while Sophia slept peacefully in Amara's arms. I miss some things about those early days. The excitement of everything being new, the intensity of falling in love, the feeling that we were building something just for us. But I wouldn't trade what we have now for anything. We're not just in love anymore, Amara. We're partners in every sense of the word. We've faced challenges together, built something meaningful together, created a family together. Even when business problems keep us up at night and we're too tired to have romantic dinners? Especially then. Romance is easy when everything's perfect. Partnership is what matters when life gets complicated. 3 months later, their second major test came in the form of an unexpected opportunity. A major investment firm offered to buy a controlling stake in Green Future Development for $500 million, with guarantees that Amara would retain operational control and the company would maintain its mission focus. $500 million, Jeremy repeated when they gathered for their weekly family dinner to discuss the offer. That's generational wealth. It's also giving up control of the thing I've built, Amara pointed out. Not necessarily, Logan said. The terms guarantee your operational authority and mission focus. Guarantees can change, Rita observed. What happens when new leadership comes in and decides profit margins are more important than those guarantees? On the other hand, Patricia added, $500 million could fund sustainable housing initiatives that help millions of people instead of just hundreds of thousands. But would those initiatives maintain our standards? Lisa asked. She'd become a regular at family dinners and brought an engineer's perspective to their discussions. Mass scaling often means compromise on quality. Amara had been quiet during most of the discussion, but now she looked around the table at the people whose opinions mattered most to her. I need to think about this differently, she said finally. Not what's best for Green Future Development as a business, but what's best for the families we're trying to serve. How so? Jeremy asked. If I keep the company small and controlled, we help maybe 500,000 people over the next decade. If I sell and they scale rapidly, we might help 5 million people, but with potentially compromised standards. Or, Logan said quietly, there's a third option. Everyone turned to look at him. What if we take their money but structure the deal differently? Instead of buying green future development, they fund a new national affordable housing initiative that you design and oversee. Full funding, no operational interference, complete mission control. Is that even possible? Amar asked. It is if we negotiate it right. They get the social impact investment they want, you get unlimited funding for your vision, and families get housing built to your standards on a national scale. 2 weeks later, Amara sat across from the investment firm's senior partners in the most important negotiation of her career. Our proposal is ambitious, she began, sliding a comprehensive plan across the conference table. Instead of buying our existing company, you'd be funding the creation of a national sustainable housing foundation. How would that work? Asked the lead investor. You provide $500 million in initial funding, plus commitment for ongoing support. I design and oversee a nationwide program that partners with local developers in 50 cities to build affordable, sustainable housing according to our standards. And your role? Founder and executive director of the foundation, with complete operational control and guaranteed mission focus written into the founding documents. What's the projected impact? Logan stepped forward with charts and projections. Conservative estimates show 50,000 housing units over 5 years, housing approximately 150,000 people in energy-efficient, affordable homes. With social impact metrics that exceed anything currently available in affordable housing, Amara added. The negotiation took 3 days, but the final agreement exceeded their hopes. The Johnson Pierce Foundation for Sustainable Housing was born with full funding, complete operational independence, and a mission statement that could never be altered without Amara's explicit consent. We did it, Logan said as they signed the final documents. You're now the executive director of the most well-funded affordable housing initiative in the country. We did it, Amara corrected. This doesn't happen without your business expertise and support. 6 months later, construction was underway on foundation projects in 12 cities, with partnerships established in 20 more. Amara split her time between overseeing operations from their New York headquarters and traveling to project sites across the country. How does it feel to be changing the world? Logan asked one evening as they put Sophia to bed. Overwhelming. Exciting. Right? Amara replied. But also lonely sometimes. Lonely? You're traveling more for Sterling Corp business, I'm traveling for foundation work, we barely see each other except at family dinners. Logan sat beside her on Sophia's nursery floor. Are we okay? Really okay? We're better than okay. We're building something amazing together even when we're apart. I just miss you. I miss you too. What if we changed how we work? How? What if Sterling Corp became the primary business partner for the foundation? I could transition my focus to supporting your work instead of running separate enterprises. You'd give up Sterling Corp? I'd restructure it. Keep the profitable divisions, sell the others, focus entirely on sustainable development. We'd be true partners in every sense. Logan, Sterling Corp is your legacy. Your father's company. No, Amara. What we're building together is my legacy. The foundation, our marriage, our family, the lives we're changing. That's what I want to be remembered for. 2 years later, the Johnson Pierce Foundation had completed housing projects in 30 cities and housed over 75,000 people. Sterling Corp had become the foundation's primary development partner, with Logan serving as director of operations while Amara maintained her role as executive director. I have a surprise for you, Logan announced on their 4th wedding anniversary as they walked through their first completed development in Brooklyn. What kind of surprise? The kind that requires you to close your eyes and trust me. Amara laughed but complied, letting Logan guide her to a bench in the small park that anchored the housing development. Okay, open your eyes. In front of them stood a bronze plaque mounted on a stone marker. The Rita Johnson Memorial Garden dedicated to the memory of Rita Johnson, whose love and sacrifice for her children inspired the creation of sustainable communities where all families can thrive. Family comes first, Rita's words, our foundation. Tears streamed down Amara's face. Her mother had passed peacefully 6 months earlier, surrounded by family and proud of everything her daughter had accomplished. Logan, this is beautiful. She deserves to be remembered. Everything good we've built started with the values she taught you. She loved you like a son, Amara said, leaning against Logan's shoulder. She used to say you saw her daughter's worth before Amara saw it herself. Smart woman. I'm just glad I listened to her advice about taking good care of you. As they sat in the garden dedicated to Rita's memory, watching families play in homes built to their foundation standards, Amara reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them to this moment. Logan, do you remember what you said to me on our wedding night? About changing the world one building at a time. I remember. We've housed 75,000 people in 4 years. Jeremy estimates that's roughly 200,000 individual lives directly impacted when you count children, elderly parents, extended family members. And we're just getting started. The foundation has funding and partnerships to double that impact in the next 3 years. Do you think it's enough? Are we doing enough? Logan took her hands and looked directly into her eyes. Amara, for years ago you were working 2 jobs just to keep your family housed and fed. Today you're personally responsible for housing hundreds of thousands of people in sustainable, affordable homes. You've created a model that other organizations are copying across the country. We've created a model that's changing how America thinks about affordable housing. Is it enough? It's more than most people accomplish in a lifetime. But there are still millions of families struggling with housing costs, millions of people living in substandard conditions. And because of the foundation you built, other organizations are stepping up to address those needs. You've inspired an entire movement, Amara. The ripple effects of what we've created will outlast both of us. That evening, as they celebrated their anniversary at home with Sophia, Jeremy, Lisa, now Jeremy's fiancée, and Patricia, Amara felt a deep sense of contentment she'd never experienced before. I want to make a toast, she announced, raising her wine glass. 5 years ago, I was a woman who'd given up her dreams to take care of the people she loved. I thought sacrifice meant making yourself smaller so others could be bigger. She looked around the table at the faces of everyone who mattered to her. But this family taught me that real love doesn't ask you to diminish yourself. Real love sees your potential and helps you grow into it. Real love builds something together that's bigger than what any of you could create alone. To Logan, who saw something in me I didn't see in myself. To Jeremy, who reminded me that dreams deferred aren't dreams destroyed. To Patricia, who taught me that it's never too late for second chances. To Lisa, who brought new joy and perspective to our family. And to Mom, whose love and sacrifice made everything else possible. To love that lifts us up, partnerships that make us stronger, and the courage to build something meaningful together. To family, Logan added, in all its forms. As they clinked glasses, Amara marveled at the incredible transformation her life had undergone. The frightened woman who'd won a company raffle had become a confident leader changing lives across the country. The struggling family held together by determination and sacrifice had become a thriving extended family built on love, support, and shared purpose. Later that night, as Logan and Amara lay in bed with Sophia sleeping peacefully between them, Logan asked the question that had been on both their minds. Are you ready for baby number 2? Amara smiled in the darkness. Are we ever really ready for the next adventure? Probably not. But we're good at figuring things out together. Then yes, I'm ready for whatever comes next. As they fell asleep surrounded by the family they'd created and the love they'd built, both of them knew they'd found something rare and precious. A partnership that made them both better than they'd ever been alone. A love that grew stronger with every challenge they faced together, and a shared purpose that would outlast their lifetimes. The company Raffle that had brought them together was just the beginning. The real prize was the life they'd chosen to build together, one dream, one challenge, one moment of love at a time. 5 years later, as Amara stood before Congress testifying about the need for national affordable housing initiatives, with Logan in the gallery holding their 2 children and surrounded by the family that had supported every step of their journey, she thought about that scared woman who'd once stared at an empty refrigerator and wondered how she'd make it through another week. That woman could never have imagined this life. Successful beyond her wildest dreams, loved completely, surrounded by family both biological and chosen, making a difference that would ripple through generations. Sometimes the most extraordinary life begins with the most ordinary moment. A name drawn from a raffle box, a dinner that changes everything, and the courage to accept love and opportunity when they arrive disguised as impossibility.